but just come home or call or something. Took her for drives that day just to try to have a heart-to-heart with her in a place, like in a car she can't get away and slam her door, which she usually does to me.
12-year-old Karissa Boudreau was reported missing from Bridgewater on January 27, 2008. Her body was found on the banks of the Le Havre River 2 weeks later. Following a 4-month investigation, police charged the girl's mother, 34-year-old Penny Boudreau, with first-degree murder. Penny Boudreau, 34, pled guilty Friday to second-degree murder in the death of 12-year-old Karissa Boudreau. The girl's frozen body was found on the outskirts of Bridgewater on February 9, 2008, about 2 weeks after her mother reported her missing. Boudreau, wearing a black t-shirt and jeans, told the court, "I'm sorry." When asked about the apology, Paul Boudreau, Karissa's father, said bluntly, "Crocodile tears. Justice has been served," he added. Justice Margaret Stewart, who had handed down the sentence at the Nova Scotia Supreme Court in Bridgewater, said the horrible crime merited a harsh sentence. "You can never call yourself a mother in conjunction with Karissa's name again," Stewart said. Karissa's relatives sobbed loudly as Crown Attorney Paul Scoville read out the grim details of the girl's final moments in an agreed statement of facts. The court heard that Boudreau's boyfriend, Vernon McCumber, told her she had to choose between him and her daughter if she wanted to save the relationship. It was dark and snowy on January 27, 2008, when Boudreau drove the girl to a remote spot on William Hebb Road in Hebbville, near Bridgewater. They got out of the car and argued. Boudreau tackled her daughter, knelt on her chest, and strangled her with a length of twine. Boudreau could feel the girl's hands digging into the ground as she struggled. Karissa's last words were, "Mommy, don't." Boudreau then put the body in the car and threw away the twine in a coffee cup. She drove to a spot along the Le Havre River, and as she dragged the body, pulled down Karissa's pants to give the impression that the girl had been sexually assaulted. She then rolled the body down an embankment. Boudreau later tossed several pieces of Karissa's clothing in the garbage can at a local swimming pool. When she got home, she told police her daughter had run away. She also called friends and teachers to spread the story. Stewart had hard words for Boudreau. "The words 'Mama don't' from a trusting and loving Karissa are there to haunt you for the rest of your life," she said. Paul Boudreau is still trying to comprehend what happened. Karissa was living with him at one point but moved back to Bridgewater to be with her mother. "I can't call it anything other than a senseless act," said Boudreau. "Had I known this was going to happen, I would never have let her go back, but what parent is going to say, 'No, you can't go back and see your mother,'" he said. Penny Boudreau was charged with first-degree murder in June 2008. At the time, police said they believed Karissa knew her killer. Scoville said Boudreau had two motives: to save a faulty relation with McCumber and to keep Karissa from publicly calling her a bad mother. He said he agreed to the lesser charge of second-degree murder to give the family some closure and avoid the uncertainty of a trial. Murder carries an automatic life sentence in Canada, but the Crown and defense recommended parole eligibility after 20 years. All in all, it was the right thing to do, Scoville said. As for McCumber, Scoville said there was no evidence he wanted his girlfriend to kill her daughter. He said Boudreau made it clear that she was solely responsible. "We suspected very strongly that he must have had an idea, but there was no evidence to suggest that he had assisted in any way," Scoville said. The grim truth of what happened to the girl came out as a result of an undercover police investigation. Boudreau gave details to officers, posing as organized crime bosses, who said they could help but destroy evidence held by police. Karissa's story has gripped the small Nova Scotia community ever since her mother made a tear-filled plea on a news conference for her daughter's safe return. Boudreau said they had a fight in a parking lot of a grocery store, and when she came back to the car, Karissa was gone. Several searches of the area turned up no sign of the young girl. 2 weeks later, a passerby discovered Karissa's frozen body on the bank of the Le Havre River. Paul Boudreau said he had suspicions about his ex-girlfriend from the moment Karissa was reported missing. Any parent knows their child, and when a child does something way out of character, you know from day one it's not true, he said. Rumors had been circulating around Bridgewater too. Wendy Rodenizer, a resident who helped organize a candlelight vigil, said the town is going to have an even tougher time healing, now that the details of Karissa's death are out. "We heard some really vicious rumors at the beginning, and we didn't know what to believe. I will say one thing," she said. "I am extremely impressed with the investigators on this. Senior officers with the RCMP and local police say hardened investigators were reduced to tears during the long undercover inquiry." Though Penny Boudreau was sentenced to life with no eligibility for parole for 20 years, she can apply for early parole after 15 years under what is known as the Fate Hope Clause of the Criminal Code in Canada.
Can I ask you what this has been like as a mother?
I don't know where you are, but just come home or call or something.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Hill County 911, what's your emergency?
I just killed my children.
Excuse me?
I just killed my children.
Where are you?
I'm in the abandoned house on Highway 77 right after you go underneath the highway. One of them's still alive. Hurry.
In May of 2010 in Hillsboro, Texas, a plea agreement was made, meaning life in prison without parole for 33-year-old Central Texas woman over the brutal murder of one of her daughters and severely wounding the other. Debra Jeter pleaded guilty to capital murder and attempted capital murder. Exactly a year before, in May of 2009, Lester Lee Jeter filed for separation from his wife and mother of his two daughters, Debra Jeter. The exact reason for the separation has never been revealed in detail, but Steve Ralston, a 56-year-old lumberyard worker who lived down the street from Jeter's, admitted to having called the police a few times on the residents in the single-story, unkept house on the corner. It was a noisy house, and other neighbors also called police, he said. For whatever the reason Lee Jeter had filed, Debra Jeter took the news very hard. Shortly after Lee's request, Debra attempted suicide at the 101 Brazel Street house and received psychiatric treatment at the DePaul Center in Waco, Texas, according to court records. Court records were filed on May 22nd, the day after Debra's suicide attempt, revealed that there was worry about putting the girl's care in the mother's hands. In those records, Lee Jeter filed for divorce and was granted a temporary restraining order against his wife. Lee wrote to the court revealing that his wife had attempted suicide with the children at home, and that she was under care and observation at the DePaul Center on a mental health warrant, and I am concerned about possible actions regarding the children. The document states that he requested custody to protect the safety and well-being of the children and any other person who has been a victim of family violence committed by Jeter. While Lee Jeter's request was held for the duration of his wife's hospital care, a short time later, in fact, the day before Debra's visit with her two daughters, a hearing was held. The judge decided to lift the restraining order against Debra and allow her to see her children. Lee admits he agreed with the judge, claiming Debra had showed no resentment towards the children, nor had she ever put either in harm's way. The girls seemed to be excited about the decision. It had been 14 days since they had last seen their mother. In news of the decision, little Kelsey expressed her happiness on her MySpace page. "I get to see my mom tomorrow, yay," she wrote. The day after a restraining order against Debra Jeter was lifted, the 32-year-old picked up her 12 and 13-year-old daughters at 6 p.m. Friday and told them she had a surprise. The girls said goodbye to their dad, and authorities say the two were excited to get into the car with their mom and to find out what her surprise was. The girls had no idea that their mother had vicious and evil intentions. 3 hours after they said goodbye, both girls were found bloodied in the bathroom of a sprawling abandoned ranch house. Their throats had been slashed. Hill County Sheriff Jeffrey T. Lyon, his voice cracking, called the scene horrific. Inside the abandoned house at 215 U.S. Highway 7 in Rural County, Kelsey Leanne, age 12, a Girl Scout honor roll student and member of the band, was dead. Kirsten Lee was clinging to life. It was recently revealed by Kirsten that her mother came after her first. While under attack, she yelled for her sister to run. Debra released Kirsten, wounded, and charged Kelsey. Their mother calmly called 911 just after 9 p.m. and told dispatchers she had just killed her two daughters. Kirsten could be heard faintly in the background of the call. Debra Jeter's response to her daughter indicated the teen was saying she needed help right away. But instead of tending to her daughter's knife wounds, Jeter, a nursing student, told the dispatcher she was walking around the house. "Hold on, baby," Jeter tells her daughter. "One of them is dead," Jeter says on tape, referring to 12-year-old Kelsey. "She's dead, but the other one wants to be saved. She's asking to be saved, and I couldn't handle that. She's bled out a lot, but she might die. Hurry up, are you coming? Oh no, she's dead, hurry up." When deputies arrived on the scene, they found Debra with both hands in the air holding a cell phone. A knife was lying on the roof of a nearby car. Debra was put on suicide watch at Hill County Law Enforcement Center. She was arraigned on charges of attempted capital murder and murder. Her bond was set at $1.5 million. So many were stunned by the attack, according to Deborah Hargrove, Associate Vice President of Human Resources and Organizational Development at Hill College. Debra Jeter had been a part-time employee of the college during the last fall semester as a tutor in anatomy and physiology. In December, she was accepted into the college's licensed vocational nurse program and turned it down, saying she wanted to become a registered nurse, Hargrove said. She said counseling services have been made available to Hill College students and staff. "We're all just shocked and devastated," Hargrove said. J.C. Rogers, Kelsey's first-period history teacher at Hillsbury Intermediate School, had just seen the girl about a week ago, when school let out for the summer. Rogers said Kelsey was very smart and quiet. She often finished her work before other students. When children would talk to each other during class downtime, Kelsey was always reading Rogers didn't know what she was reading, but she always had her nose in a book. He'd catch the girl at her locker with a book in one hand, while her other was turning the dial of the lock. During parent-teacher conferences a few months back, Rogers commented on her love of reading to Kelsey's mother. Debra Jeter had laughed, he said, telling him how her youngest daughter had told the family she was going to take a bath, but she found her a little while later, reading in the bathroom while the water was running. Because Rogers' wife is a nurse, Kelsey often came into the first period bragging about how proud she was of her mother for studying nursing, he said. I really miss having her in class, said Rogers, who has 3 daughters. She really was a nice little girl. Jeter was transferred to a Texas Department of Criminal Justice prison in Gatesville after she was sentenced to life without parole in a plea deal that spared her the possibility of a death sentence and spared her daughter from the trauma of having to testify. Before she was transferred, she met with her estranged husband Lee and her surviving daughter Kirsten. He said that she told him that she hated him, but that she was sorry for everything that happened. He said his daughter shared a few light-hearted moments with her mother, during which they talked and laughed, but he said that won't ever happen again outside of prison walls. He said Debra told him the reason she attacked Kirsten and her younger sister Kelsey was because she was heartbroken over the couple's separation and subsequent child custody fight. She figured if she felt that way, then we all must feel that way, and she wanted to take all of our pain, he said. Lee Jeter said his daughter is what keeps him going, and she told him Kelsey wouldn't want us to give up.
Welcome to my channel. This is Mr. Scary. Hope you enjoy the show.